There are a number of very powerful tools in CorelDRAW. First one that we're going to take a look at is Power Clip. First, I'll explain what a Power Clip is. The Power Clip is a feature that allows you to put an object or a group of objects inside a container. The objects can be raster, vector, text, or a combination. The container can be a single vector object, a group of objects, or text. When this image is selected, I'll go to the Objects menu. I'm going to go down to the Power Clip option. When you choose this option, place inside frame. And with this cursor, I'm going to select this piece of text, which will become my Power Clip frame, and click, and you'll see that image has been locked within the text. I'm going to use Shift F2 to make better zoom viewing here. Now, from the Objects menu, I'll go to the Power Clip option. Here I have a bunch of options activated. See, I can here have option that is the Edit Power Clip. It is going to get me into edit state where I can resize the image. Or maybe if I want to rotate that, I can do that as well. I click here and we'll go rotation or skewing and do a number of different things with that. This icon here will allows me to finish the editing. Finish, click, and there we are back again. You'll also notice that I have other options in here as well. For example, I can select content from the Power Clip, extract content, lock them, lock contents to Power Clip. I have the ability to center, fit proportionally, fill proportionally, stretch to fill, or copy Power Clip from. Now we'll take a look at another image here. So I'm going to take more image here. Import, click. Okay. Let's scale it down a little bit. There. Okay. Now that I've shown you that I can go to the object menu and then put a Power Clip inside the frame, I can also click and drag with the image selected over the top of area. Say I want to Power Clip this into a circle, maybe this one here. Space, go back to my pick tool here. Click, right click, and drag here. You can Power Clip inside this. Click, and there you have your image inside that shape. I have the ability to Power Clip inside like so. Now this particular object was created using this ellipse tool. I can do that even with the graph paper. Say maybe I want from here, graph paper, click and drag, choose the number of columns, maybe 4 by 4, 5 by 5, 7 by 7, I guess. Let's delete that, go ahead and delete that, choose graph paper, click and drag, there. So this time I'm going to right click, drag, Power Clip inside. Now it also gives me the ability to create a grid, horizontal and vertical. And using a grid like this is great if you do sublimation and want to sublimate on ceramic tiles. Maybe create a backslash and an outline color, and there I am, my outline color. Simply a matter of ungrouping and printing the individual tiles. Now we're going to take a look at find and replace. You may be familiar with the find and replace in your word processing application, but CorelDRAW brings us to a whole new level. The find and replace docker allows you to create queries to narrow in on various objects with specific properties. From the edit menu, I can go down to find and replace. You can use the shortcut Ctrl F, and I'll start clicking on my query. Add a query. I have the ability to locate object types such as things like curves, rectangle, ellipses. In this case, I'm going to choose ellipses, and so on and so forth, these kind of things. I can also locate fills, outlines, and special effects. Say I want to locate all the orange ellipses. I'm going to select ellipse. I'm going to select a uniform fill. For example, so now if I click on the label here, it will allow me to, for example, if I'm looking at paragraph text, I can click on paragraph text label and can set up different things such as font used, size, weight, and that sort of thing. So any of these labels I can click on and I can get the additional information on that. Under fills, I have, I'm looking for uniform fill, uniform color fill. Highlight the label, click on the label, click here, uniform color fill, click here. Maybe I want to sample this particular color, and there we have that color. And it will apply that color as one of the properties that I'm searching for. Further on down, I have things like outline. I'll dictate no outline. I'll do no outline. And if I had a special effect such as drop shadow or lens or contour, then I can certainly select that. Simply going to go ahead and click OK for this. I can click on the save icon here if I want to and save this query out and reload it anytime I want it for other document. That's a great feature. If I'm looking to search, let's say for example, CMYK objects, I've got the documents made up of CMYK objects where there's an RGB element and there's some place I can create that query, and so that anytime I can be searching for RGB objects in a CMYK document. For now, I'm going to click on Find All, and it's gone through my document and found all the orange ellipses without outline, and you can see it marked those all here for me. Now here you can see that I have the ability to save this query. So simply a matter of clicking on this disk icon, and it will allow me to save this query, and which is very handy to make if you want to look for something on regular basis through various documents. Things such as looking for a CMYK element in a document supposed to be all spot colors or Pantone colors. You can do that sort of thing. I'm going to just reset this query. And another way to find the elements within the document is to select the object and simply clicking on from selection, this property will be selected. Is to give me the star shape, uniform color fill, no outline, and so on and so forth. Say I want to click Find All, it is going to find all the elements. I can come here and change the color. Let's say I want to change this to green, and there I can just do it in a few clicks. So very quick, very easy, and very powerful. Now we'll be looking at the connect content. So connect content is a Docker that allows you to access clip art in CorelDRAW. From the Windows menu, you can go down to Dockers and choose connect content from here. This provides an easy access to the content on your computer or local network. Now, if you've not downloaded your clip art as of yet, it is done in the Store tab from the welcome screen. Here, you can click on here, select Get More, and here you will have different filters as we saw earlier. If I select the content, I can download any of those packs, and it will give an option here for download free, and it's as simple as that. Let's go back to our Docker. For example, if I type here and use chilies, say chili, enter. There is no such content named chilies, so it's not going to show me that. Enter. Okay. So let's say I'm going to search for this CGS. Maybe go to PH00453. PH00453. Enter. And that will show up depending on what's the name of the file. So when you search that, you'll find the thumbnail here, and you can bring in that. I can also specify if I want a vector object or a raster object. I can adjust the size of thumbnail to get a larger look at that. Click here. That is going to increase the size. If I want to use any of these pieces, it's simply a matter of clicking and dragging, and it will come up right like so. I'll just position this down here a little bit. Select all this, or maybe I want to delete all these because I don't need that as well. Delete. Scale this up. Okay. Now in this situation where you have your own collection of content that you want to bring in, under the drop down menu you can select add new, and it is going to create a new sort of list. Here I'm going to click on create alias, maybe create alias. I'm going to select design elements, and then I'm going to select the folder here, and it'll come up here in this with like we had those earlier. All content starter pack. Okay. Other options I have under this gear option is we can sort by name, search by date created, browse, open the folder location. I can re-index the folder, rename, or remove. If I right click on one of these images, I have the ability to import original position. I can import or add to tray. Properties like delete, edit, and select. So if I select edit, it is going to open up the actual CDR file for editing. So when I save these out, and it will update the actual content itself, not my existing document. Let's go back to here. Let's go and look at for tray. Here I have in the Docker's tray. I can add new tray here. Just clicking on this option, or maybe I want to rename this tray. This allows me to create collections that I can use for jobs that I might be working on. I can rename this tray, and maybe I want to say ABC lock. And I'll go ahead and give OK, and I'm going to change the name. Reindexing the folder may take several minutes. Okay, I'm going to continue with that. I can bring in the images related to it, maybe a brochure that I'm doing or something like that. So you can create multiple trays depending on the jobs that you're doing, and you can bring the content in. It makes it very easy to organize content before you start to work on the job. That brings us to the end of how connect content. It's a very useful tool at your fingertips that will help you increase your productivity. We're going to take a look at the perspective tool. Let's go back here, perspective tool. Drawing in perspective. You can draw in 1, 2, or 3-point perspective in CorelDRAW with no need to set up a complex grid in advance. After setting up the perspective field, you can draw directly in the plane that you want or place the existing orthographic object into perspective plane. Start with an introduction to perspective views. You can a 1-point perspective has a single vanishing point. For example, looking down the street, seeing the buildings on the other side. A 2-point perspective can be used to show a view from the corner, say an intersection where the building shrinks towards 2 separate vanishing points. A 3-point perspective is generally used to make more dramatic views that focus on the top of object that vanishes down when you go bottom, or vice versa to show how objects look from below. These are referred to as bird's eye view and worm's eye view. Now let's take a look at how easy it is to create a perspective view. We're going to move these elements side of the page. We did already. And now from the object menu, you can go in here, choose perspective, select here, maybe object menu, perspective, draw in perspective. I have the ability to set it to 1 point, 2 point, or 3-point, or 3-point bird's eye, or worm's eye. So I'm going to select 2-point for now. If I'm going to click and drag, I can create the size of the field and fill my entire page, right like so. Now that I have the field on my page, you can see I have the ability to select the orthographic view or the top view, left or right view. I can see the visibility of the horizon and change the color of the horizon. Here I have the ability to show the perspective lines. I'm going to bring this up to 75%. Okay. And I'm going to change the opacity of the lines of these perspectives. Maybe I want to change this color to maybe a dark one. Dark. And I'm going to increase the opacity here. Line opacity is way too much. Maybe 60 is good. Just to make it a little bit easier to see on the screen, now I'm going to start placing my elements on the screen. I'm going to start off with this object here. Left click and drag and bring this onto the page. I can right click and move to plane. I'm going to select the left plane. Here I can resize this up or down. depending on my requirement. Now let me just move this over. Right click, move to plane, move to top plane. Just going to bring up right like so. I want to scale this up. And maybe you want to move that as well. Scale it down if that's way too big. Now this guy here, right click, move to plane, and right plane. Alright, you can set this up right like so, and it's going to take a while to adjust these as they're not proper. Okay, this guy here will go up. Right click, and maybe I want to arrange this to give it to the front or front of layer. Okay, and maybe you want to make it right like so. You can kind of select this and adjust properly, and you can get certain 3D object using these grids. It's just a matter of tweaking these and getting them into proper placement. So it's fairly easy to create 3-dimensional object in the perspective view. I'm going to zoom back out, and after some fine tweaking, this will become a 3D proper object. And I wanted to give you ideas to how that will work. Once I'm finished creating the object in the perspective view, you can simply click on finish, and then you can further move it away in case you want to. It is going to give me a perspective group here, and I can place them anywhere on the screen and make use of that. Now in the situation where I want to make editing for this, you'll notice I have the option to edit this. Click on here. I can go back in there and edit it again and go back and finish right like so. So now we'll be looking at the PDF format we create using CorelDRAW. Say I have this document here. Let's close this up. The portable document format, or the PDF file format, was created by Adobe for the purposes of being able to easily distribute documents that can be viewed on other computers and across a number of different platforms. The PDF format has also become common file format to be used when preparing files to be sent to a printer. There are a number of different settings available, so let's take a look at those now. From the file menu, I can go down to the publish to PDF. Alternatively, I can click on the icon there, and it will bring up the same pop-up menu for me, right? Like so. I can go back to the top here. Down here we have some PDF presets, web document distribution, editing, PDF, so on and so forth are the versions of different PDFs. I'm going to click on the settings button here. It's going to give me this dialog box where I can adjust the various settings. On the general tab is fairly self-explanatory. I can set the range of the document. I also have the ability of changing my PDF preset in here. You'll also see that I have archiving for CMYK images, or archiving for RGB, current proof document distribution, and number of others. So I have the ability of creating my own preset. Now on the colors tab is my color management. I can use the current document settings or use here, press settings, spot colors, native, use proof settings, document settings. Output color CMYK, RGB, grayscale, or native, depending on your requirement. Say, for example, I want everything to be converted to be RGB. Then what we'll have to do is maintain the colors and the color models that are in the existing file, and those will be reflected in the PDF file itself. Alternatively, I can select convert spot colors to RGB in case I want to have these, but for that you need to have spot colors within the document for this to be activated here. I can also embed a color profile under my document tab. This allows me to set up the author keywords. I can optimize for web, and here I have the ability to create or exclude hyperlinks, bookmarks, thumbnails, and that sort of thing. Now when the PDF file gets opened up, I can dictate whether I want to start on one page only, full screen, or show bookmarks. The object where it gets a little more complex, and in here I can set the compression of raster objects and file itself. I can set the compression type here, the level of compression, and then downsampling where we have sampling of raster images with file itself. I can also render complex fills as bitmaps. It will inflate the size of the PDF file. I can compress text, line art, export all text as curves, and then some other options here. Now there's a pre-press tab here. If you're going to be sending this off to a printer, and these are some of the settings that you want to adjust. Bleed limit will set the amount of bleed in a file. I can preserve halftone screens. I can set printers, marks such as crop marks, file information, registration marks, densitometer scales. We also have the ability to maintain for OPL links. Of course, let's open a pre-press interface on security tabs where it really shows the power. I can set the power password and the security here, permission password as well. To protect the file from anybody copying it, potentially getting it into wrong hands. So creating password won't allow the person to open the file unless you have the password. I'm going to create a simple password here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once the user enters the password to open file, then we can give another password. What this will do is allow the user or disallow the user from printing, and they're allowed to print low resolution or high resolution. If I don't want the user to be able to print this at all, then I'll of course leave it at none. Also, editing permissions. We can allow the user to insert or delete or rotate pages. And the final tab shows me the potential issues. with the file. This particularly simply means that we have all page one contents outside the page. Document contains small fonts within the document. Here I have some suggestions how to resolve them. If I want to control these warnings that you have received here, you can click on this gear and you can deselect to have these warnings, click or whatsoever. I'm going to hit OK, cancel on this. If you want that, you can click OK, and that will not give you any warnings here. Now we're going to look at the object styles. The term object style is familiar by using that in the Word document. Now, for those Word documents, and that creates headers and footers that need to be consistent in large documents. When I wrote a book, my editor told me that I have to use styles. Never having used styles before, it was a learning experience, but I quickly discovered that it was also a great time saver as well. In CorelDRAW, we have the ability to create styles. Not only we create styles for text, but graphic elements as well. For me to create a style, it's simply a matter of right-clicking an object and go to styles, object styles, and give a new style from outline, fill, or transparency. Because I have this style selected, it has an outline and fill as well, or the transparency. Maybe I'll just select this text here. Go to the objects menu here. Objects, it's kind of locked out, so let's release a lock. Okay, so here I can select this, right click, object styles, new style from character, paragraph, or frame. So let's say I want to save this style. Right click, new style from outline, fill, or transparency. We click on character here. Select this, right click, styles, let's try from character. I'm gonna name this. I can name that. Name the style here, and you can just go ahead and give OK. This will automatically open up my object style log Docker, and you can see I have my style here, character 1, the one I saved here. These are some preset styles given by CorelDRAW. Now I'm going to select these elements. I have created this style. I can hold down Shift key, click on that. So bring down to apply selection. I can just right click here and apply style as well. So if I select these fonts, right click, apply style, it is going to apply style to these objects. Say about this one, this guy, just click, right click, apply style. So it is that easy to create a style here. Now that I've applied the style to the selection, I can go through and change the properties of that style. So if you picture yourself creating a large document, you have a number of headers, subheaders, paragraphs, and that sort of thing. You can go through the entire document and apply styles to it, or apply styles where you're creating it. And then later on, if you need to change any of that formatting for that style, simply a matter of coming back to this Docker, and you can just go ahead here, maybe just click here, and it will change the style for you. I'll just select this, or maybe I want this one, or any of these will work out. Maybe I want to change this to purple. Click here. Dark purple. Single click and it changed all my headings to purple color. Under the character with the drop down, I have the ability to change the font here. Click and single click and change the font. Single click again, and that did my job as well. Also bring down the text value here if you want to. Now the other way to create the object style is to select the element I want to create a style for, and from selection. So if I have certain object here, say this, apply style set, that is going to give up that style to this object as well. The same as I did for the titles here. Now that I've applied the style to this, it's easy to just go through and change the style parameters here. And maybe I want to change the outline to red. And that is going to give me a red outline, right like so. Say if I want to make it yellow, go back here, do yellow. And also I can change the number of properties in here as well. So as you can see, with little planning in the earliest stages of the document creation, it is possible to save countless hours of design time.